Good evening, everyone. Hope you are all doing well. I've got Farmsim Tim with me this evening.
Good evening, everybody.
And the plan is to do some cow feeding and chat to Farmsim Tim a little bit about conservation agriculture in a little while. So, hey, Pete and Derwin and just that Adam, who's now a moderator because Paul's not here to do the squashing of people if people annoy us. And did I see airline there as well? Cool. So, if you're just listening and wondering why you can't chat because it's on follower only chat, it's to make my life easier at the moment because I figured there'd be more people here and I didn't want to deal with the spam that comes with that. So just hit that follow button because it's free and then you'll be able to chat.
If you say so.
Yeah. It's not normally on. I just figured with Terralife being a little bit popular, it might attract more people. And equally, it's popular with people who don't always like Terralife. So, there is that.
Yeah, no, I was about, if you say so, I'm gonna follow you.
Yeah, okay.
And just it.
Good. Well done. So, I've done a little bit of a deal with a local farmer, if you're interested in that kind of thing. Or I've been in and messed about with the XML a bit. And for those that have been watching on YouTube, we now have some cows that are 27 months old and a month away from having calves. So we're going to walk them down to the yard with the really cool trailer. I think this thing is awesome. And I'm going to attempt to make some TMR. So that's the plan for today. And while we're doing that, how have you found your involvement in the release of Terralife, Tim? Because it's kind of, you've not been with the farming agency too long, and you kind of, within the first couple of weeks, it's been welcome to release, help with support.
Yeah, I seem to be the type of guy who just always has that perfect kind of timing.
Yeah.
Like, when I maybe start a little before I actually joined the crew, I looked into regenerative farming for quite a while, and about a year ago I was looking around if anybody did anything on soil health or conservation agriculture, and for some reason my Googling skills were so bad I did actually not stumble across Terralife Plus, even though I was already in a Maze Plus Discord and
Okay.
had been using Maze Plus.
I guess there was probably more information about Terralife Plus when it didn't release in FS19 at some points.
Yeah, that's part of the issue because I only started 1 year after release of Farming Simulator 22.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty new to the game as well.
Yeah, because it got close to release in FS19, and there was a lot more then about what is Terralife and the soil health and stuff, and it kind of went a bit quiet for a little while, I think, and then we were, there was more focus on getting Maze Plus done.
Yeah. I mean, I asked in Maze Plus channel about 2 months ago about like what would I have to do to have any kind of collaboration, and that was already when the first release activities were going on. So I quickly realized, okay, maybe it's just a bad time. I'll just wait until after release.
Yeah.
But then at some point somebody contacted me and said, hey, Paul was talking about conservation agriculture on stream and not nicely. So obviously I did have to watch it. But it was alright. He basically said they don't follow every single modder around, and he seemed a bit annoyed how I would do the same thing as them and maybe steal features and stuff. But then I said, okay, let's not be mad about it. He doesn't know anything about my story, so let's just contact him, explain my side of the story. Then we chatted a little, and he said, okay, you seem to be interested in the same like real life topics than me,
Mm-hmm.
it would make sense for us to work together. And so he did welcome me to the team, and the team was very, very generous, very friendly. He even helped me test the Sticky Feet mod in multiplayer, which recently got released.
Yep.
And I did get a lot of support from all the team. Obviously, it was a bit chaotic because I joined literally like, I don't know, like 1 week before release, maybe.
I
Maybe it
think,
was 2,
yeah,
not
it's
so sure
1 or
anymore.
2 weeks. Yeah, it was about that.
Yeah. But I used this fact to, well, for one, provide technical support because I've got like 3 decades worth of computer experience. So a lot of things come more easily to me than
Mm-hmm.
the average player. And I use the other things, like if somebody said this doesn't seem to be working, I just tried it myself, so I can also learn all the features of Terralife Plus.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm still stuck at, and I believe it's gonna take me like 2 or 3 more weeks to get a grasp of what it actually changes, because it's just so much.
Yep. Yeah. I mean that's kind of what I was doing on the Saturday, was when people were asking questions. It was like, is it something that I can quickly look up in an XML file or very quickly test before Braven has chance to try and answer, to stop him having to answer every single question.
Yeah, I mean, Braven was mad. I think we talked, or you guys talked about it in other streams.
Yeah.
There's been rumors about how Braven is actually more than one person.
he got through so much work on that Saturday. It was pretty insane. But yeah, I think, yeah, we did a bit between the two of us to try and lighten his load a little bit, and it really helps that you can kind of span between English and German as well. Having another person that speaks both languages definitely helps, and is fairly
I gotta
comfortable with
say,
both, I think.
like the ability of speaking English of many team members isn't actually half as bad as they made it sound.
Yeah, I think some of it is confidence, and so my view has always been, when they're having kind of technical discussions about modding, I don't care if they speak in German. It doesn't matter if, as one of kind of the limited number of people who doesn't speak German, it doesn't matter if I don't understand most of those conversations. But having more people around that speaks both, I think, helps sometimes with like some of the support things in terms of doing the sort of the translation of stuff. I think that's going to help a lot with putting the wiki and things together, because being able, particularly if you understand sort of some of the agricultural stuff, being able to do some of that translation from German agricultural speak into English is going to be easier.
Yeah, definitely. The funny thing is, let me just comment on the dam.
Yeah.
Just the dam. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. But the reason you saw me a lot in the English part was because every time I tried answering something on the German one, about 3 team members had typed before I finished typing.
Yeah. I do follow the German one, Adam, and it was even busier than the English one.
Yeah, like a lot busier.
The German one makes the English support channel look like it's asleep. It's probably 2 or 3 times more, and yeah, there's usually a few more people in there providing help, which is good. But there's a lot more questions in there, which I think is, maybe sometimes it surprises me, because I would assume that more of the people that aren't native German speakers will speak English, but I think it just supports the fact that probably a lot more of the people at the moment that are playing it are maybe are just German because Paul's got quite a big following, Achim's got quite a big following, so.
Yeah. Also, it might just be a feeling, but Germans seem to spend way more time on the internet than other European countries.
I don't think that's the case.
I'm not sure. It's just
Yeah.
like in whatever online game which has like a worldwide servers.
Yeah.
The three countries are always like, and unless China and Russia is there, it's usually US, France, and Germany.
Yeah. I think in general, the game has quite a big German following, obviously, with its roots. But yeah, I am always surprised how much busier the German sort of support side is. Adam is definitely worth following, and I use DeepL to translate stuff. There is I need to install it. I can send you the link if I remember. Farmsim guy shared a link to a Chrome plugin which auto translates, which I've not tried, but that would make life much easier in many of the channels that I'm in, because then I wouldn't have to sit and translate line by line. And thank you, Crackerman. I have a reasonable size following, but not necessarily compared to the size of the German audience, I don't think. Because also there's, is it Nplay? The German streamer who's ridiculously huge, who's I think a gold partner. Is that right?
It could be like really bad when it comes to popularity and stuff.
Yeah, so
I just spent too much time playing the game or modding.
Yeah, so there are some bigger German content creators who also play Terralife, whereas a lot of the big English-speaking content creators don't play Terralife. So, yeah, there is that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect DJ Goham playing Terralife.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Yeah. I mean, some people just have the opposite play style of what Terralife is trying to achieve, and that's perfectly fine.
There are other reasons we shouldn't go there.
Okay, yeah.
I'll mention them afterwards.
It's all right. I mean, not gonna call any names, but I just want to say, like, game like Farming Simulator offers so many possible different play styles, and if somebody just likes the biggest equipment at the highest speed they can get and just farm 100-acre fields, then yeah, why not? Why not have fun with that? But in that case, obviously, Terralife Plus will not make you happy.
Yeah. Yeah, so Derwin, not really. Well, I'm not. I don't know if anyone else is providing support on any other social media channels. I might need to get the JCB to load these up, actually. I think, so my stance is generally I will just tell people to go to the Maze Plus Discord and use the support channels there, because that way we can track issues and we're using that to create tickets in our own area to actually fix bugs. Whereas if people are just randomly asking for help all over the internet, then we can't actually track that and fix things. So I did see, I went on to King Mods to look at look on there, and there were a bunch of people asking for help on there. And it's like, it's not really the place to ask for help, is it, in the comments of a third-party modding site? So,
Yeah, also, I mean, Discord just is the superior tool for like any kind of community currently, and especially providing support, because you can drag your log file in, you can show screenshots, you can even drag videos in, and it's just more difficult than many of the other ones which were mentioned.
Yep. So, Mr. Bavarian Redneck, good evening.
Hi there.
How you doing?
So yeah, our original question was we talked about
how you
agricultural terms and German English translation. The funny thing is, when I joined Terralife Plus, or the farming agency, that was actually the first time I set my game to German.
Okay.
So I actually don't know a lot of the German equipment names or
Interesting.
agricultural terms because I don't use them in
Interesting.
real life. And I just played games in
Yeah.
English for about 20 years.
Hey,
So
BGO. How you doing? Nice to see you guys turning up. Of course I unwrapped the silage cracker. Realism is key, remember. Unless it's silage bales that are wrapped in the special dissolving high mineral content wrap that we sometimes use, then you have to unwrap them. Just don't ask how they appeared on the farm.
we can't talk about everything, can we?
No. I think the cow... yep, the cows have grazed as well, so that's cool. But I believe that if I don't give them TMR... Actually, that's a good question. If they graze, do they get their milk bonus? I haven't looked.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That would be a good question for Paul.
It would, wouldn't it, if he wasn't off on holiday?
Yeah.
That would be a really good question for Paul. Because I know the... Actually, I know the... So the bull got his fattening bonus from grazing. So I guess these aren't producing milk yet, so we won't know if they were getting their milk bonus. So I might have put too much. We might need to be a bit more careful about everything else that I'm putting in, because we are already quite full. So I need small amounts of other stuff.
By the way, did you mention already you're using an updated recipe
Yes.
already?
Yes.
Okay.
So we did go through it yesterday briefly. This is the This should be the updated animal food editions that will come out at some point. So if you didn't watch yesterday, this has removed a lot of the minimums. So the minimums don't add up to 100% now. So this is the 28-month plus recipe. And for the recipes that, where did I leave the little front loader? For the recipes that had the same ingredients in multiple bars, that's also been fixed. So, which is good. And now roosters don't lay eggs, which is also a bonus.
I'm not sure if you read that one post, but I did say it's the year 2024, so if hens identifies roosters or the other way around, we just have to accept that.
Yep. Yeah, if roosters want to choose to lay eggs, then we can let them.
Yeah.
Yep. We might just have to let them. So I've got some loose herbgrass silage here because magic happened. And you can't buy herbgrass silage bales. So I know, Pete. I was there with all of the facts there. Bulls cannot get pregnant. I did have to confirm that with Braven. But, yep. We did confirm bulls cannot get pregnant. We did also confirm that they are only allowed to do the thing that they do at the end of the month currently. Which is maybe a little bit harsh. But currently in discussion as to whether they might be allowed to do things more frequently.
I mean, obviously we do care a lot about animal welfare, so this is certainly part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want the bull to get too tired, I guess, if they were doing things too often. So
it's always about finding the right balance, isn't it?
Yeah. This is a classic example of you shouldn't do things like this when you're not sure what you're doing late at night, and you don't have a clue what's going on. Because I was like, why can't bulls get pregnant? And obviously, when you think about it, there's a good reason why it says. But yeah, Anyway, that was why the bull couldn't get pregnant, because it's a bull.
Yeah, I mean, we need to be biologically accurate, right?
Yeah, it is supposed to be a simulation, and I'm pretty sure it says exactly the same thing if you're running enhanced animal system. And if I was thinking, I would have remembered that, but thinking was not something that was happening at that point, and I was just looking at it getting confused rather than actually thinking. And it was one of those things where, yeah, I just didn't trigger in my brain. And then when I skipped ahead a week and nothing happened, and he couldn't get pregnant, I was like, well, clearly he's broken, because he can't get pregnant and he's not doing what he's supposed to do. So then I was thinking that Braven had made him rot, because, you know, he wants everything to rot as it gets old.
Yeah, you never know.
So, you know, clearly at 28 months old, the bull's bits had rotten off, and he was done. He was going to be a hamburger, and I needed a younger version. But actually, the reality was I was just impatient.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, and it's, you know, Terralife is the thing, I guess, where you do have to be a little bit patient. I should be using a bigger bucket to do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if you do stuff you haven't done like 1,000 times and you rush it, usually things go wrong, and there's just so many things which could go wrong here.
Yep.
So best to take your time and maybe read stuff twice.
Well, if there was stuff to read.
So well, I'm talking in-game, obviously.
Yeah, I with the bull, I actually went and looked through all of the animal data to check there wasn't any age restrictions on anything, and the problem that I have is I'm not very good at reading lure, and so I opened up a few of the lure scripts, and they make no sense to me. It's like reading some sort of strange black magic, and I'm just gonna message someone.
It's like a different language.
Yeah, it is literally like a different language, and even as someone who has done coding, not actively for quite a while, it's just not a language that I find makes any kind of sense to me. So we now need some moisture feed. I'm really tempted to just use a bigger bucket for that.
Since you mentioned enhanced animal system, I really had a good laugh when I read through all the new animal types the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And every animal had a description of what they do and maybe some background information, and then you get to the male ducks and the description is literally male ducks eat. I mean, it does sound like my spirit animal.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I bothered to actually read those descriptions, but Enhanced Animal System was such a game-changing mod at the point that released, because that just opened up so much for, you know, adding animals properly to all maps was and animal breeding and
also I might have been lagging there. Not sure if it was you or me.
You dipped out a little bit, I think.
Yeah, probably me then. I do live in the countryside, so
okay.
Internet sometimes cuts off.
Yeah, and the bit that I'm finding tricky still with Terralife is with things like, we say, enhanced animal system is integrated. It's how much in which features are all integrated. So, okay, maybe it was me then, if the whole stream lagged for a moment.
Maybe even Twitch.
Yeah, It didn't seem to suggest anything had lagged, but maybe it did. Anyway, let's see if I can accurately put a small amount of beet pulp in here with this ridiculously giant bucket. It doesn't appear to be... That's going to be going in the feed, isn't it? With where I'm parked.
I mean, it's a bit late now, but the trick is not picking up a full shovel in the first place.
Well, that... Yeah. Yes. That would be one way to do it, wouldn't it? Would be one way to do it.
But then again, it's hard to pick up like just 100 liters.
Yeah. Well, I want to put in a reasonable amount. So... let's park there. I was planning to put in all sorts of ingredients because I've even got molasses there. I've got mineral feed, but either need a bigger feed mixer, or this is why making small bales is good for things like Terralife, because by the time you put in a bale of maize silage and a bale of another type of silage, your mixing wagon is quite full at that point. So there we go. There we go. It's going up. Cool. And that's why I made the tiny bales of hay, because otherwise you're really quickly going to get everything being full. And
yeah, but I mean, as you said yourself, people need something to do over winter.
Yeah.
So if you just put like 3 bales in there and be done, that would be boring, wouldn't it?
It would. And that's why you make lots of little bales of lots of different things, and give you something to do.
Yeah, like just the feature you're using right now. When I first played the game, I thought, how can I remove the single bags?
Go in.
Like why?
Go in.
Why do I need a forklift to put stuff in there?
Why don't you want to go in?
It does list mineral feed, yeah?
Yeah. It takes mineral feed. There we go. That went in. I'm not taking... The paper's going in as well, Pete. The paper's going in. Yeah, cutting the bales open is an option as well, as Liam said. So,
yeah, true.
We're going to take another one off there. Because what I want to try and do is then take one off the other pallet and put it on the pallet that I've taken some off of, because one of the guys was saying that he was having trouble doing that, so...
Yeah, seems to be you just need to find the right trigger spot.
The trigger's a bit fussy for that.
Just read Derwin modding. Yeah, Lua is in fact an easy language, as in it does have an easy syntax, but you need to use the Giants API, which only shows you half of the code, and it, like, some parts have like a lot of documentation, and other parts have 0 documentation. There's a lot in between there. So the difficult part about script modding for Farming Simulator is getting into it, like finding out how do I even print "Hello World" anywhere, and also how do I find stuff? How do I find out what different functions do, what concepts there are? Which is actually why I started writing a Lua scripting tutorial for Farming Simulator. So if anybody wants to go down that path, probably best to just ping me in the Maze Plus Discord. You are allowed to ping me, because I usually have everything on silent anyway. So if I'm there, I will react, and if not, I won't notice it until I do have time to react.
It is... so I've, in a completely different game, I've done little bits of Lua, and I found it quite easy in that, because it was quite... It was a game where the Lua coding was quite open and quite simple. But when I've looked at the Lua code that people have written for Farming Simulator, it just looks like a complete dark art. Okay, so mineral feed's quite heavy, it would seem.
It appears that way.
And yeah, mineral feed is quite heavy. Okay, we won't use, and there's lots of triggers, obviously. Okay. Please let there be somewhere I can tip this out, or not.
Maybe try like not on the concrete slabs, but somewhere else.
I could probably tip it out in here actually, because I was able to tip the herb grass silage in here. So
yeah, because those concrete slabs are like they're not painted texture; they are
yeah.
objects. Yes, but yeah, it looks like that wasn't the reason.
Okay, right. Well, we'll just leave it in here, and we will use this instead. Just because I need to put quite a bit more mineral feed in the mixer, so...
You still do have beet pulp and a shovel, though.
Yep, I can go get rid of that easily enough.
Okay.
That I can just go tip back in the bunker. So I did think about getting some carrot pulp, but I then didn't want to deal with the fact that no one can buy carrot pulp yet, so... because we're missing the buy points for that. So those will come with an update, for those that are wondering. The same as we have the buy points for brewer's grain and
I think it was
pulp.
potato pulp, carrot pulp, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It could be BGO. That might be it, I guess. That it's not possible to tip it on the ground. That could make sense. Yeah, that could make sense.
Yeah, I mean, because usually you would try your best not to tip it on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm a bad farmer, so... you know. It's that whole engineer, not farmer thing.
You know, sometimes it's best to just remain silent.
Yeah. Surprised how heavy it is.
Yeah, seems to be
I guess
quite dense.
Guess it's probably similar to there we go. Something like lime, because it's a mineral feed.
Yeah.
So it's only taken me 30. Well, apart from walking the cows down, 30 minutes to mix TMR. That's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
We can finally feed the cows. Stop. Stop. There we go. So should now have happy cows. They're getting all of their feed stuff, and they should start producing milk at this age. I don't know if they need to have had a calf to produce milk with Terralife Plus like they do with Enhanced Animal System, or whether they will start to produce just before. What issues are you having with it, Quackerman? So the calf milk replacer, I believe you need to put into... I haven't used it yet, but I believe you need to put into one of these to be able to use it. And it will automatically get water added to it, and then you should be able to use it, I think. I've not used it myself yet, but I think that's the case. Adam, if you're still here, you've used it, I believe.
I haven't used it yet either. Like, I did prepare all the fields to get all the ingredients for the full feed mixes.
Yeah,
but I'm not yet at the point where I harvested everything I need, so I naturally didn't buy cows yet.
You don't need to add water, Quackerman. It's done magically. There is no need to add water to it. You just add the powder, and the water is magic.
Yeah, like air humidity and stuff, I guess.
Yep, yep. So, right, the cows have food. Their health has dropped a bit, I guess, because of the time that passed where they didn't have food. So hopefully that will come back up. Let's just check this. They've got every feed group that they need filled. So I am going to skip some time. We'll see what there is to do on the next game day. And while I do that, conservation agriculture.
I was afraid you're gonna ask that.
Yeah. So it's as I was saying earlier, it's a mod that released and it's existed, and people told me it existed. Those cows are okay, which is good. I kind of might have ignored it for a bit, forgotten about it, and then I started to look at it before Terralife came out, and then obviously at the moment it's not compatible with Terralife because there's a bit of crossing of streams. So I've been told it exists a few times since Terralife has come out. So do you have any plans, or should people just leave you alone and go away while you play with the fun new mods?
No, people don't need to leave me alone, but they will have to have a little more patience.
Switched off.
Simply because due to the fact that it took me so long to find Terralife, I don't yet know exactly how Terralife works behind the scenes with all the things that I'm also modifying in conservation agriculture. And I kind of need to understand the mechanics behind before I can even like judge if stuff will be compatible.
Mm-hmm.
And for some features, I don't even yet know if they're in both mods or not.
Yeah.
But I did notice Terralife Plus doesn't modify nitrogen yet.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually the reason why I started modding for Farming Simulator, because I through gardening and no-dig methods in gardening, which I found out about, I somehow stumbled across conservation agriculture and got like a lot of interest for the topic. And yeah,
So your interest in the conservation agriculture came from a gardening hobby.
yeah,
That's really cool.
we do have like
That's really
40
cool.
square meters of vegetable beds
Okay.
and 2 greenhouses. That's the advantage of living in the countryside. Like,
Yeah.
disadvantage is internet is not the best, but
That's
the
awesome.
properties are larger.
That's awesome. I love that.
So yeah, we did spend like the last maybe 5 or 6 years remodeling our garden, but now it's in the shape we want to have it,
Yeah.
and now we focus more on growing stuff. Not just food for us, also food for nature, basically.
Okay.
All the bees and insects. Because that's also part of what soil health discussion in farming is for. If you have a healthy ecosystem, your crops will profit from that as well, because you will attract wildlife, which, like smaller wildlife, which will eat the small animals which
Yeah.
are harmful.
Yeah.
Don't know the word right now.
Pests.
Pests, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Or pesticide pests, yeah, makes sense. And
That's awesome.
I mean, it's a complex topic which we can't cover in this
Yeah.
video, but yeah, that's how I got into it.
Wow.
And
That's really cool.
then I tried stuff in Farming Simulator, and I was like almost disappointed how you seem to be always at a disadvantage if you're playing regeneratively. Like, you get less yield if you don't plow,
Yeah.
and you can't actually, or you can direct seed into cover crops, but there's hardly any bonus for that. You get better bonus for actually using a plow or a cultivator on cover crops.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided I might be able to change that.
So,
yeah, go on.
what's your background? Just a slight divert. When you started to think about doing that, were you into modding before that? Because I'm not really aware of kind of your modding background as well.
The only game I ever written mods before was actually Rocket League.
Okay.
Which is like a completely different
Yeah.
genre. But yeah, I do have about I don't really want to think about it, but it's more than 20 years of programming experience now.
Okay, so you program professionally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a software developer by
Yep.
trade.
Yep.
Fortunately and unfortunately, I'm now a software architect, so I'm more into everything which revolves around coding,
Yep.
and I don't actually write any lines of code at work anymore.
Yep.
But that increases my motivation to do that at home.
Yep.
So luckily for you guys, I'm very motivated to create mods and assist in all the upcoming features for Terralife for Farming Simulator 25.
Yeah.
And any maybe planned updates for 22. Actually, I still don't know all about the roadmap ahead yet.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be adding features for 22. No, not entirely sure on that, but I'd be surprised if we're adding features. I suspect it's more going to be bug fixes and documentation at this point, which will take a little while.
A second map wave.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that'll be the focus, and then probably.
Yeah, I mean it's not that much time until release of 25 anyway. So
no, and for towards the end of 19, we were kind of alpha testing features for 22. So yeah, it's one of those things where there might be a little bit of that going on. I guess, I don't know. No promises, because no idea what's happening behind the scenes on that kind of thing. I'm kind of curious, and it might be one that I need to raise with the guys, that where I rolled my grass and herb grass, I've got the rolled texture underneath still. I was kind of hoping it would go away once I mowed it, but it's staying around, so...
Yeah, no idea about that.
No, I'm not sure if it will go once it goes through the next growth transition or not. But it had this really nice green planted texture when I planted it. And then I rolled it because it said need rolling. And now I've got the roll texture underneath it. It doesn't go away.
I mean, my garden grass does look like that if I use what I think you call an aerator or something.
Yeah. Okay, it doesn't go away. That might be one that I need to, unless... Yeah, one I need to mention to the guys. Because I suspect it's not meant to look like that.
Yeah.
I think it's meant to have...
something we can look into.
Yeah, I think it's meant to have the nice green underneath it that my little patch of grass that I mowed previously has under it. Because it looks a lot better. Looks a lot better with the green rather than the roll. So, yeah, I find it really kind of... Weird is not necessarily the right word. That's what I'm going to go with. Weird how I guess a passion for doing essentially conservation agriculture for gardening transferred into a farming game.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of, I guess it's in a similar way that Paul's passion for this kind of farming and wanting to educate people about farming has transferred into this. So it's not that strange in a way, but It's
Yeah, I mean, my goal was, or I told myself, if I'm able to try out all those regenerative farming practices, and maybe I can get 10 people into Googling what the heck conservation agriculture is, like
yeah,
not my mod, but the actual thing,
the real thing.
then it was worth the time.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't checked, but I'm somewhere around 40,000 downloads now, so I probably
that's
achieved that goal.
yeah. That's slightly more than 10. That's
Even,
slightly more than 10.
yeah, even though I'm sure that half of these people just like the mod because it gives direct seeders the ability to create a field,
Yeah.
which I
Well,
added in to allow people to actually not use a plow at all.
yeah. I'm not sure
Obvious.
because obviously I don't know, because are there any features that they might not want to have?
Probably not, because I quickly realized just how controversial the topic of regenerative agriculture is.
Yeah,
And by the way, I don't hate any real-life farmers who use plows. I do have like solely theoretical knowledge, so I don't judge if you're using a plow or a
yeah,
cultivator. I can't even tell if in your situation that's the better option or not. But I will say, researching all those soil health stuff, it can't hurt.
yeah. And I know nothing about most of this stuff. Everything that I've learned is from playing a video game. And I mean, the only reason that I got into doing stuff with Maze Plus is it made the video game that I play more complex and therefore more interesting. And I loved all the numbers and things that it involved. And oh, that was quite a crash. And you know, I'm a guy who loves spreadsheets and numbers, and I ended up doing tutorials because I love spreadsheets and numbers. And
Yeah, similar thing then.
I ended up then getting, you know, I ended up with Paul correcting some of the tutorials that I did, and here I am.
Yeah. Okay, so well, conservation agriculture mod. The things I figured out so far is, as I said, Terralife is not giving a bonus to nitrogen yet, which was one of the main things I wanted to do for the mod.
Mm-hmm.
Like in real life, ecosystems are highly complex and there are several different kinds of benefits you could get, but like none of them translates into Farming Simulator 22. So I just picked nitrogen as rewarding the player for doing regenerative stuff.
Yeah, and
And
that's kind of what you have to do, isn't it?
yeah, right, we did talk about the features. So if you don't want a feature with conservation agriculture, you can turn most of them off. That was with the controversial thing, because yeah, I just said, I don't know what's right. People have different opinions on what's right, so just configure it the way you think is right.
Yeah.
And well, now for Terralife Plus, unfortunately, at the moment you can't use the mod, but you do get a lot of actual no-till stuff, which is like an insane amount better than what I could ever do in conservation agriculture. Like you can literally sow into a field with flour mix and there will still be stuff left. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
really cool. And
We spoke about that a little bit yesterday, that you can undersow into a grown
yeah,
crop, and yeah, it's I'd completely forgotten that feature even existed until Adam started messing around trying to test it, and then Paul sort of explained some of it yesterday as to how it works.
well, obviously it's the most important feature for me, because one of the three main principles of however you do conservation agriculture is keep your soil covered at all times.
Mm.
So for the past half year or so, there, like even without Terralife Plus, there was always something growing in my field. It just didn't look like that in the month where it was sown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
I'm
guess you
really
always.
happy that now it also looks that way.
Yeah, because you added the ability to use a lot of other crops as cover crops, didn't you?
Yeah, and I added a crop termination feature so you could go in with a mulcher or a roller. Like in real life, you would only use roller crimpers because they terminate the crop in a way so it's almost guaranteed to not continue growing.
Mm.
And you don't want the old cover crop to continue growing.
Yeah. Yeah, so I
And
in FS19 I did a lot of using grass as a cover crop between after planting things like corn, because with the crop rotation in seasons, it actually gave you a really nice yield bonus, and it meant the field wasn't sat empty over winter.
yeah, yeah, I also liked how you have additional stuff to do in late autumn.
Mm.
And that's the part, or one of the parts, where I'm not yet sure how exactly Terralife Plus works. I'm sure most of the community knows better than me at this point. I do know a couple bits of behind the scenes stuff, but all the stuff like what happens if I drive into a field which is currently like this with a mulcher, what happens when I do it with the roller, what happens if I harvest it, and so on. That's all the kind of stuff I still need to find out before I can make conservation agriculture compatible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've
But
got
yeah,
people like Eagles who's lurking in the chat who's on year 4 of playing with Terralife Plus already.
okay.
And
Yeah, I just managed to mow the first fields in my
yeah,
own single-player game.
yeah, yeah. I'm on week 3 of July. And,
Yeah,
it's
I think that's about where I am. Yeah.
so. But I mean,
So
and the good thing is with people like that. I mean, I don't know. I posted that he's found that his map is slowly turning into grass fields because the NPCs are planting grass. And I'm not sure if that's something that we should be having happening or not, because I suspect once they've planted the grass, they don't plough it in.
it depends. I know in Germany you need to plow your meadows every 6 years, I believe. Otherwise, you lose the government subsidies. I'm not sure about the background reason. It could be the argument is there will be too many wheat grasses and the quality is less. Or
Yeah,
I'm just guessing at this point.
yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that that works with Farmsim because I'm
Yeah.
I'm not sure that the game once NPCs have planted grass, I'm not sure they do anything with it other than let you mow it.
Yeah, but I do know that the real-life conservation agriculture farmers in Germany, which is actually a shockingly low number,
Mm.
they're very unhappy with this law, which forces them to plow the field.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess they're working hard to not plough and do other things instead.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They say that throws me 6 years back.
Yeah, yeah. And there was a comment that was way further up. The guy who was watching a video for an American farm that are trying to recover from all the chemical usage and things. And I guess that's the other nice thing about conservation agriculture to some extent. I guess maybe not that conservation agriculture is maybe not so much about using less chemicals. I don't know. I guess you're using a lot more green fertilizer because you're
Yeah,
planting all these.
a lot of people actually mix that up because one thing you do have to admit is that currently conservation agriculture heavily relies on having glyphosate available.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The idea is to use it only in the transition phase, and you need to use less every year, but you do still need it.
Yeah.
I don't know of any real life farmer who fully claims they have mastered organic conservation agriculture.
Mm.
That would be the ultimate goal, but right now it's just still highly experimental.
Yeah. So you need it to kill off some of the cover crops and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they do argue that the main issue isn't glyphosate in the field, but the fact that it runs off into the rivers.
Yeah.
And there's two ways of solving that. One is put less glyphosate in the ground. The other is figure out why the stuff you put into your ground is running off into the rivers and maybe stop that. So they're trying to fight this side of the equation. And as is usually the case, the best approach is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and probably like some of these other things, it will come down to something that's maybe not the best approach, but the approach that gets someone's attention and gets government grants or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I figured as much from watching especially American videos of Gabe Brown is probably the most famous farmer who does it. And you just quickly realize it is such a highly complex topic. It can be really rewarding if you get it right, and it can go horribly wrong if you don't. So naturally, that puts a lot of farmers off, saying, I simply can't risk trying it.
And that was again what so I didn't see who it was who made the post, that they were looking at maybe 10 years of lower yields and things while their farmer essentially recovers from being one type of farming to being the other type of farming, and that's a long time to take a hit on your essentially your income and your livelihood.
Yeah.
And I guess until governments embrace, the sort of the government subsidy system shifts and embraces that as an approach, it's down to farmers deciding that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, also, you just gotta admit, in Europe, we almost have luxurious soil in comparison to other parts of the world. Like in Brazil, in some parts of Brazil, farmers, about 95% of them do conservation agriculture. But they hardly had any topsoil left, so they were forced to change something.
Yeah. So I guess at that point you have to, because you have to protect the soil.
Yeah, and we just have completely different conditions in Europe. Some people say the current way of farming can continue 50 years, others say 100, others say 200.
Yeah.
As I said, it's complex, so... but it's also why the motivation to do it here is not as big, I understand that. Until
it gets too late, and then... It feels like one of those things where if people adopt it early, maybe, or partially adopt it, things would last a lot longer with maybe a lot less severe impact. But and I think having stuff like that in a video game, and I'm probably really annoying people by calling it a video game, but I do that because someone complained at me for calling it a video game when it's a simulation. But having stuff like that in Farmsim with Terralife is a really great way to maybe sort of provide that education at a level for people that maybe know nothing about it. And
yeah.
Just kind of, it's almost like a passive education, because someone will see, this mod conservation agriculture, what's that? And they get a little bit of information. They might then do like you're doing and do a little bit at home. There's a guy on my Discord who uses cover crops on his allotment. It's...
Yeah, I actually started using oilseed radish, yellow mustard, and I don't know the English name for the third, as cover crops in my garden.
Yeah.
And it's beneficial there as well.
So I think having things like having the game do these more complex things potentially is a really good way of educating people. And I know Paul said yesterday that he's been invited by Novak to go to one of the shows in the UK to I think to take along at least one show in the UK. I'm not sure if that was the show he was talking about, but there's another show he's been invited to where they are going to have a booth, again by Novag. They're going to have a booth because Novag is officially an FS25, but they're going to have two booths because they want to show off the Novag working properly. So they're going to have an FS22 booth because they've got Terralife then with no-till working. So,
That's awesome.
It's real brands of real agricultural kit want to use FarmSim to demonstrate what their things do. I don't know if you saw the video, the Novag video that Paul shared, which is just like real farming brands using Terralife as marketing stuff. It's crazy.
Just reading through chat, I hope we can still all agree that leaving out any political mess out of Farming Simulator is a good idea.
Yep, definitely.
I really wouldn't want to drive to the mayor's office every month and sign papers and stuff.
Sign up for your latest set of grants.
Yeah.
I will just. I want to quickly say thank you to Airline in chat. You made Paul a very happy man yesterday, with your response to him sparking your interest in farming. He messaged me to ask me who you were because he had forgotten who you were again. So yeah, you made him a very happy man yesterday. Yeah, you confuse him because I think he forgets that your name is different on here to what it is on Discord.
Are you a 320 simulation?
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Hey mate.
Yes.
I think we've met in other Discords already.
Having different names in different places is confusing unless people actually remember. So.
Yeah. Also, it's just a lot of things to worry about for Paul at the moment.
Yeah.
So don't blame him.
Yeah. And I can't. Yeah. I think he said when he got back after having Saturday away and Sunday morning, he had something like 150 PMs on Discord or maybe Facebook.
Yeah.
And so something that I don't particularly understand is why people think that the way to get support when they've installed a mod and it doesn't work. Certainly the quick way to get support is to message a guy like Paul. It's like, do you really think he's going to be sat there waiting to answer your messages?
Yeah, it's just I don't understand it as well because not right now, but a couple of weeks ago still I was also supporting in the official Farming Simulator Discord. Like especially if I saw anybody doing script mods, it's not that many people, but
yeah.
There were a couple of people who asked a question, then I answered, and then they PM'd me, and so I just wrote them back. Why not keep this discussion public so other people can learn from it and other people can step in and help? It's better for everybody.
Yeah, and I generally, I don't get anywhere near the volume that Paul does, but I will pretty much reject almost every PM that comes in on Discord because it's like, one, if I don't know who you are, I generally don't want to talk to you anyway. And two, if you've got a problem, quite often you'll get a quicker response by asking in a channel where multiple people will see it.
Yeah, and it almost sounds like common sense if you say it like that.
It does, doesn't it? And particularly with Terralife, there's no guarantee that I'll even know the answer at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we are at a point where people from the community are answering questions of other people in community.
Yeah.
And you just missed that kind of stuff if you direct message people.
Yeah, and someone asked about they had cows in a pasture. I think they had cows in a pasture on the Holter map, and the productivity wasn't going up. And I was like, everything looks okay. I'm not sure. It's because the pastures on there don't produce milk, and therefore the productivity can't go up. I was like, I didn't know that. I learned something.
Yeah.
It's like at this point, I don't know everything. So yeah, I think I'm picking up on a bit that Airline and Adam are talking about. I really didn't have much of an interest in farming until I got into playing Farm Sim. And yeah, I now, will watch any farming related stuff on TV. Went to the LAMA, the big agricultural show, and Kartik and I spent 2 days walking around that, staring at all of the stuff. And although I do the whole engineer, not a farmer, I am interested in learning about how farming works because it's kind of cool. That's where our food comes from.
It definitely is.
You know?
It has been an underrated topic in the past. Like, we literally learned zero about farming in school. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a part where we talked about medieval age and the introduction of, not sure how you call it, like the 3 fields method.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we might have
Or
learned
4
about
fields
that.
method.
Yeah, I think we might have learned about that at school as well.
Yeah, but that was like in medieval age
Yeah.
kind of thing, and we learned zero stuff about modern agriculture
Yep.
and nothing about where our food comes from. But it's a really important topic,
Yeah.
and definitely should be talked more about. So yeah, I'm also happy if Farmsim can help do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's another one that Derwin mentioned there. I think a lot of the pastures on Holter map, you can't add food. So once they've run out of grass to graze, you have to move the cows.
Yeah, it's the first step towards implementing rotational grazing.
Yeah. And I should have remembered that one because I did the translation of the PDF that's in for the Holter map, but I'd forgotten that bit. But yeah, I mean that kind of thing I think is it's really cool. So, Quackerman, like, if there aren't farmers, I'll just go to the supermarket to get my food. It's fine. I don't go to a farm to get food. It's very upset a bunch of people because they don't understand sarcasm.
I mean, most people should by now.
Yeah.
It's tough to survive in the Maze Plus Discord if you don't get sarcasm.
Yeah,
I guess.
it's tough to survive on the internet if you don't, and if you watch my stuff and you don't understand my slightly dodgy sense of humor, sometimes you're gonna get offended. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at my workplace I'm at a point where my colleagues just expect anything I say to be sarcasm.
see, there's not very much of that where I work, but most of it's fairly professional at work. Unlike my amazing driving skills, which is why half of the people here is to watch me crash. So
And it could be just a software developer thing
yeah,
to have a high level of sarcasm.
you're all just strung out on caffeine and lack of sleep.
Yeah, like the worst that could happen in a work day is literally the coffee maker being broke.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and that's kind of like the well, it's not so much now because most of the young people where I work that aren't so strung out on caffeine. But yeah, it used to be the case that everyone survived on caffeine and not quite sarcasm, but just bad jokes.
Yeah, it's more like being cynical, right?
Yep. That's the one. Caffeine and cynicism. And yep. No coffee, no work. Well, for me, it's no caffeine because I don't drink quite so much coffee these days. It's more those really healthy energy drinks.
I mean, I was about to say you are British after all, but I kind of expected you to say tea.
No, I can't stand that stuff. No. No, so I really like coffee, but I probably only have. I used to drink a lot of coffee when I started work, and I now probably only have like one maybe 2 cups a day. But I do have a fairly nasty monster addiction, so um, and that stuff is even worse than drinking coffee. But there are worse things that I could be addicted to. So
Yeah. I, I do gotta say I'm impressed how you can just keep talking and not mess up your bales and always stop in time. Because
it's the fast bail or the quick bail.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
but
Kubota
I
fast
would
bail,
have
and
I would have kept driving at least 20 times by now,
I'm
and then
also
realize, oh wait, I need to stop.
yeah, I also have the round baler extension script installed, which makes it stop.
That's why.
So,
Yeah, that's cheating.
yep, yep. If I don't have it installed, I would be halfway down the field before I realised. So,
You could have just not told me.
yeah, I think actually the Kubota, because it's the same as the Cavernan quick bail, should do it all automatically anyway. But yeah, I think it's the round baler extension script that's making me look good. I make no claims to be good at this kind of stuff, so
Yeah.
particularly while I'm trying to do this, it's
Yeah, Dabba Sparks, yeah, the round bales, is integrated into Terralife Plus, so you don't need the mod additionally in your mod folder.
Yep.
But if it's there, it will not be any harm done because Terralife Plus will just deactivate. Unless maybe you have an extremely old version of the mod. I'm not sure about that.
No, it's not the case with that one. I think that one's a forced deactivate, I believe, by Braven's script. I'm not sure why certain versions of Maze Plus can still activate themselves. So I think I don't. So I think possibly it's because Maze Plus is set up to deactivate itself.
Yeah,
So
I guess that's what happens.
So I think that's not in the list of mods that gets deactivated. So if you have an old version of Maze Plus, it can stay active, is the problem. So Braven possibly made some assumptions that people would be running recent versions of Maze Plus, which deactivate themselves if you run Terralife, versus things like the round bales, which are deactivated because they're not compatible.
Yeah. That said, it's still a good idea to not have 1,000 mods in your mod folder.
Yep. And it's a good idea if you know that those mods are not compatible. It's a good idea to just remove them anyway, because they still get loaded by the game. They're just not active. So an example, because I am a terrible person, let me just quickly stick that on. I believe, because I think I spotted it in the controls when I was scrolling earlier. If I go, I will show you what a bad person I am. Simple Inspector. It is deactivated by Terralife Plus, but it shows up as being loaded by the game.
Yeah.
So it's although the mod is not selected as being active because it's one of the something like 40 mods that's in my mods folder. It's not active. I've not got it selected. It's deactivated by Terralife Plus, but it still shows up in the controls menu. So it's still being loaded in the background.
Yeah, I think Giants made it that way basically to load all the mods when you boot up the game already, so you can change the controls before you load a save game.
Yeah, but yeah, that can
we
have.
just don't know what else is being loaded.
Yeah, that was always the problem with the Maze Plus, the horse extension, forage extension back in 19, when people had more than one map in the folder, because they would all get loaded at the start, and you could get conflicts if you had more than one map in your mods folder, which of course people would do. Because why wouldn't you? You just have one mods folder with everything in. And then,
Yeah, I mean, matter of fact, I do have all 4 maps in my for Terralife Plus maps in my mod folder, just so I can switch more quickly when reproducing issues. But yeah, I tend to not do that when actually playing a save.
Yeah, it's a good job Paul's not here.
He'll notice on YouTube.
Yeah, it's when we were chatting earlier. So you can tell the people that played with the stuff from FS19 because some of the guys that were here were like, I've got my 4 mods folders ready. I'm going to download all the maps. They'll all go into separate mods folders, and I'm ready to go. And it's like, yeah, you know. So this is Pallegney. This is the map that I am playing, and there's the farm just there. And I think you can also tell the people that never played any of those, because they're generally the ones that turn up with 1,000 mods in their mods folder and they don't understand why it doesn't work.
Yeah, I do personally use FSG mod assistance since a while. Their mod assistant.
Yeah.
Which just helps you quickly switch between mod folders. And I know there's several other programs which do the same, basically.
Yeah. I use Windows Explorer.
I did do that, then I went to writing my own batch scripts, and then I thought, okay, wait, this tool is doing a better job than my scripts are, so let's just give it a chance.
Yeah, I kind of, I think I might have tried it once, but and at one point I did try using I use a file syncing, free file sync I use to sync the video editing software between the 3 computers that I use, and I tried using that at one point to sync Farmsim up, and the first time that I wiped out a save, I decided I'll just do everything manually. Because I can control then where things go and when, and what I'll do is when a mod updates that I use across multiple saves, I just copy and paste it into all of the mod folders in one go. And yeah, I'm not, I don't trust the because I think the FSG mod assistant helps you with updating mods, doesn't it? Is that right?
It does. Like it does do quite a lot of things I haven't tampered with yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it does.
But because I run, generally I'm running like 4 or 5 saves at a time, so I have 4 or 5 different mods folders. So I just have separate folders, and I just change the game settings XML file to tell it which one to point at. And when I remember to update mods, I just update them across all of them in one go.
Yeah, Pete, with 1,500 mods, it will only seem to work fine. There will most definitely be some kind of issue which you just haven't detected yet.
Yeah, I love the people that turn up and go, it's not working. There are no errors in my log file, and you open it up, and you scroll about a fraction of the way down, and it's just littered with errors. And it's like, did you even look?
Yeah.
And there's a lot at the moment where people are clearly having height type issues, and I think it's where people are running those mods that reset the height types to back to 64, because there seems to be quite a lot of them.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate combination of things, because whenever anybody wants to define custom height types, what people usually recommend is just copy the height type XML file from the game, and that contains the entries which will reset it to 64 if you don't remove that part. and at the same time, it could be easily prevented. Like the loading procedure could be made so only the map may ever decide how many
Yeah.
density map channels there are.
And I
But
guess that's
it's not made that way. That it's not about laziness or anything. They just said,
yeah,
okay, we already have code which can load that stuff, so why not use it for mods as well?
yeah.
And unfortunately, that includes setting the number of possible height types.
And I guess it's weird because it can't, you can't increase them through mods like that, but you can decrease them.
Yeah, you can increase them, but you've got a certain file in your save game which will just not be big enough to fit that stuff.
Yeah,
So it will only appear to like you can raise the number, but it won't work.
yeah, yeah. Princess Kayla, if you liked the Forage extension, you will love Terralife if you're not playing with it already. And Quacker, if it starts off with a ton of mod names that are there, then the game is seeing them somewhere. Because the log file is pretty much cleared every time the game loads.
Yeah.
So
As soon as if you close the game and start it, you will have a new log
yeah,
file. So either you're not looking in the right kind of place, and maybe you just have an older folder which you maybe moved, copied somewhere. But there will be like timestamps in the log file, so you can find it out easily if it's actually from today or from 2 years back. But I've probably seen like thousands of log files now,
yeah,
and I've never seen them list anything which is not actually in the mod folder.
yeah. Princess Kayla, yes, it includes everything that was in CCM extension for FS19 and way more, and way more.
Yeah, I think the record was unzipping a log file which was 50 megabytes after unzipping.
Yeah. But I think that there should almost be a rule that if you have to zip the log file to upload it, we don't need to look at it. You just need to go away and remove all the mods that are making errors.
Yeah, that's definitely a faster approach.
Yeah, at the point where you say I can't upload it, it's too big. That means there's problems. Yeah, I mean, I missed the number that that Derwin shared because it's 20k plus errors. It's like people wonder why people wonder why the game doesn't work, and they wonder why script mod that like Microsoft and PlayStation don't allow any old mod on console. And it's because they don't want people complaining that consoles run at 3 FPS.
Yeah, from a security or a support standpoint, not having scripts on console is a very good idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a pity for console players.
Yeah.
Especially for modders like me, because as long as I only do script mods, people on console will never use the stuff I create.
Yeah.
Unless Giants integrates that into the next version, but that's obviously only a long-term thing, and
Yep.
I definitely do stuff that will never be in base game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame for the people that play on console, but you can understand the approach when badly written script mods and then people just throwing so many badly written other mods in just messes the game up. I mean, half the time when you look in a log file, it's not even really a script mod that's causing the problem. It's some badly written truck or pickup truck that they've downloaded from somewhere that's just throwing endless errors into the log file. And,
Yeah.
it's usually what it is. And so just get rid of all of this, get rid of every mod that's creating an error and then come back. And quite often they never come back because either that fixes it or they don't want to get rid of their favorite thing.
Yeah, which isn't working anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Or well, they will say it does work, but actually when they're using it, the game in the background is just slowly dying.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's how I started out myself. Like, this is cool stuff, and I just got a ton of mods. But I did have the computer experience, like the technical experience, to eventually figure out, okay, maybe that's just too many possibilities for conflict. So maybe start with an empty mod folder.
I think when you're on PC and you're starting to play Farm Sim, you do kind of start with that. I want to download all of the, I want this thing, and you just type it into Google, and you maybe don't know better at first, and you
I'll be
down,
right back in
yep,
1 or 2 minutes.
yeah, and you download mods from some random website, and you end up with a mods folder full of junk, and then you start learning, and you start again, and things get better, and I, I've eventually gone to now, pretty much. I will only download mods from ModHub for 90% of what I do. I get occasional ones from maybe itch or creators, GitHubs and that kind of thing. But that's about it, really. Is this going to work out perfectly? Yeah, but it's been a very eye-opening week, seeing a lot of log files and seeing the amount of stuff people have, and then them being surprised why a massively complex mod like Terralife just won't run. Yeah, I mean you've seen some of them as well. I think Adam in the last week, and it's like I with some of them I've just got to the point of saying just start again, just create a new folder, download Terralife, grab a few of the mods that you really have to have, and then just start adding stuff back. I mean, people seem to have like, hundreds of tractors and stuff installed, and it's like, do you really need those at the start of every save? No, you really don't. And just add them back as you go, and maybe think, oh, I'd like to have that one, and things will work so much better.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
And that's definitely a strategy I'm using now. Just whenever it feels like, okay, I'm really missing this, then I'm looking for a mod for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's why at the moment I have about 40 mods in my mods folder for this, because I'll slowly add them as I need them. And it's a that way as well. If you add a mod and the game breaks, it's pretty easy to identify because you've just added it, and you've not got, well, which one of the 1,000 mods that I've got in my mods folder is the one that's causing the problem.
Yeah, it's every mod you add, it's exponential growth
Yeah.
basically.
One of my favorites is the random person that turns up and goes, which mod conflicts with, like when Terralife released, which mod conflicts with Terralife Plus? It's like, you need to be a bit more specific.
Yeah, it's like they expect us to having tested, I don't know how many mods there are, maybe like 250,000.
Yep. Yeah.
And say, okay, we compiled a list of 537 mods which are incompatible.
Yeah. It's like,
That's not the way it works.
yeah. So, oh, well, if you just remove this one mod, everything will work fine. It's like, no, it's not. That's not how it works. And yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it a day for today, because I believe you need to go and eat in about 20 or 30 minutes.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm about done anyway. So
So yeah, but today you can blame it on me.
No, it's about the right amount of time for me anyway. So, and I think
All right.
we've done a good job of putting the world to rights on people who have too many mods in their mods folders. So,
Yeah, definitely. If anybody else still has questions about conservation and agriculture, don't hesitate to contact me over GitHub or the Maze Plus Discord.
yeah, but I think the short answer is you have to work out what you need to remove to try and make it compatible, I guess.
Yeah, I guess in about 2 weeks maybe I can tell you what my plan will be.
Yeah, awesome. We will look forward to it because I know there will be a lot of people who want to try and use them both together. So, and when I go back to regular content, I do plan to integrate it because I started playing with it on one of my saves, and I was quite curious. So not everything is just going to be Terralife when I go back to normal. So I will be using it again.
Don't say that too loudly.
I've got 4 other saves that are still going. One of them's got Maze Plus in it. Well, they all have Maze Plus in them. So
Oh wow.
you know.
By now I have 1 active save and 19 debugging saves.
Right, I've got this one. This is my main Terralife save, and then I have another one which I use whenever people ask questions. Cool, it's been fun. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks for having me.
It's been good. Been a pleasure having you here.
Good night, everybody.
And see everyone. Possibly not next week because I have a lot of work stuff. But if I am, I will let everyone know. Bye.
Bye bye.